There were 2 seats in the row ahead of us. We grabbed them just as a couple of girls started down the other end of the row. They were visibly upset. Oops. Haha. The girls that had rushed ahead of us were talking over each other, trying to get the attention of some of the players. When one of them called him by his first name, a sliver of heat burned in my chest. You're making a face. It's too loud. That's all. Liar. I turned away from him. Yams knew me far too well. The coach called the team over. They had a small meeting. As they were talking, the other team came into the gym. Both teams greeted each other. I thought you said we were rivals. We are. They seem friendly toward each other. Sportsmanship? I guess. After the captains and referee flipped a coin. The game started. We had first serve. The crowd exclaimed loudly as the other team couldn't receive the ball and we got a point. The first few minutes of the game was back and forth. We'd score a point. They'd score 2. Then, we'd catch up. They ended up taking the first set. During the break I got up to use the bathroom. When I returned, my seat was occupied by one of Yam's friends from his art class. It's nice to see him surrounded by people who have the same love for art as he does. Even though he's still in high school, he has already been accepted into a famous art school and had his art displayed in a gallery. He's so determined to be known by his own merit that he even uses a pseudonym instead of his real name. Only his family and closest friends know he's the actual artist. I decided to let him enjoy himself. I found a seat not too far away. The second set started. Hinata's fans seemed to be mostly girls. Whenever he scored or it was his turn to serve, they made sure he knew he had their support. I had noticed this during the first set. I'll admit, he is very good. His team seemed to rely on him a lot. Once during a timeout he looked up at the crowd. He seemed to be looking for someone. The girls waved and called his name. He gave them a small smile and continued looking through the people in the stands. The whistle blew and the match continued. After a couple good rallies our team scored a point that was challenged by the other referee. Net violation was the cause of the claim. The teams waited for the refs to make a decision. Hinata once again turned to the stands. His eyes traveled over the crowd until he spotted Yams. He waved to him and Yams waved back. He walked over and called to him. You by yourself? It seemed Yams had been having such a good time he hadn't realized I wasn't beside him. Once he did, he started to look around confused. Just as his eyes turned my way, the guy in front of me stood up. He went to the bathroom, but he should have been back by now. He was trying to talk and look at the same time. Maybe there was a line. Sure. Hinata looked back through the crowd, but the guy hadn't sat back down. It occurred to me that if I stood up they'd be able to see me. Right when I decided to stand, the whistle blew again. He sighed and shook his head. Yams shrugged his shoulders. Hinata jogged back to the team. I knew what he was thinking. That I'd left. Yams whispered something to the friend that had taken my seat and worked his way to the exit. The crowd erupted with cheers as they announced that the score would stay the same. Yams. He spun around and saw me walking toward him. He had made it halfway down the hall by the time I had got through the crowd of cheering students. What happened? Where were you? I went to the bathroom, but when I got back my seat was taken, so I sat somewhere else. Yams sighed. He was looking for you. He thinks you left. I know. I saw you guys talk. Why didn't you say anything? I tried, but it was too late. Yams sighed again. The more honest answer is that I stalled on purpose. Let's get back. I don't want him to think we ditched him. Sure. We walked back into the gym. My original seat was given back to me. Somehow in the short time that we were in the hall our team had just taken the second set. This time, however, Hinata didn't look up at the stands. In fact, he seemed to be looking everywhere but the stands. Say something. He should concentrate on the game. Suki. His voice was drowned out by the sound of the whistle and the crowd around us. Once it had quieted down, I leaned over. I'll talk to him after. Yams looked over and smiled at me. Hinata didn't check the stands for the rest of the game. We won, the final score being 23-25. It was definitely a close game and I could see why they are our rivals. At the final whistle, the gym exploded with applause and cheers. The team shook hands and walked back to their coaches. Let's go before it gets too crowded at the exit. I thought you were going to talk to him. I am. We can wait for him outside. I don't feel like being jostled around. Okay, the air feels cold after being in the heat of the gym. Well? Yams looked at me expectantly. It was okay. I'll take what I can get. You seem to have fun. I did actually. The guys Yams had been talking to before exited the gym and spotted us. They came over and started talking to Yams about an art exhibit taking place this weekend. They wanted him to come along. Sorry guys, can't make it this time. We had plans this weekend, but I could tell he'd much rather be going with them. Why not? He looked at me confused. You aren't doing anything. They invited you out. It would be rude to turn them down for no reason. He smiled at me and turned back to them. Guess I'm going. I backed away as they continued to talk about the exhibit. Just as I reached for my headphones, the gym door opened and everyone else finally stepped into the cool night air. It was about 10 minutes later that the players from both teams came out of the locker room. I could hear the cheering even with my music playing. I couldn't see through the mess of students. But I knew he was there. My hands tingled in my pocket. This reaction to him had to stop. I told myself that after tonight I would put him behind me and focus. Yams was going to be disappointed, but I have to do this. He is already living his dream and his future after high school is set. Mine isn't. Slowly people started to leave. I turned my music down as the noise around me had lessened. That sliver of heat burned in my chest again as I watched a girl run to hug and kiss him. She was one of the girls from the group we had bumped into earlier. The heat spread from my chest all the way to my face. It seemed Yams had saw too, because in a matter of seconds he was by my side. Suki, let's go. For some reason I couldn't look away. We're leaving. I'll see you guys later. He must have heard Yams because he looked our way. My eyes locked with his. He must have realized that not only did I stay but also saw what just happened. He pulled away from her. What's wrong? Wait. Yams pulled on my arm and this time I let him drag me away without protest. Sorry for the wait. The voice app I was using stopped working. It took a while for me to find an app with a voice I liked. Hope you like it too. See you in part 5.